Hi everyone, Emily with Rehab Matrix, and today I'm going to be going over the Breg Achilles Bootwalker fitting. Ideally, we're seeing the patient pre-cast removal, or we might be even seeing a patient with Achilles tendonitis and we're trying to reduce some of that strain. The beauty of this boot walker is that it is universal. So I like to fit the boot on the non-affected foot and ankle just because it can be a bit of a finicky fitting process. So on the nice healthy foot and ankle, and then once we're all finished, we then can transition onto the affected foot and ankle. Another important thing to mention to your patients is the importance of not adjusting the boot walker after the initial fitting. It is so important to follow this strict Achilles protocol given by their physiotherapist and or orthopedic surgeon. So please remind them to not remove any wedges and to allow their healthcare practitioner that is following them through the rehab process to do any adjustments. So I'm going to go over the fitting with my colleague Nate here, and again, if you have any questions or concerns about the fitting, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm just going to adjust the frame so we can see. So your boot walker is going to come in a couple different pieces. So you're going to actually have some plastic wrap along these two stays. One key thing that I'm going to point out at the beginning is the 4 wedges. So you're going to have 4 wedges in the boot walker. Throughout the protocol, you actually only remove the top 2. Never ever surpass the bottom 2. So there should always be 2 wedges left in the boot walker. The first part of the process, I like to grab the liner of the boot, and you'll also have a rigid piece along the calf. So I like to wrap that around the patient's calf. This boot is worn for quite a few weeks, so should the liner wrap pretty far around the calf, I like to do a bit of like an inch or 2 of a trim down so that it's not so warm for them. But this fits Nate pretty well. I like to center the calf portion on the back. Just a bit. And put that as tight as tolerable. Then next step, I like to line up, and again you'll have those plastic pieces on the stays too, which is going to help because these Velcro pieces are very sticky. So I'm going to ask the patient to gently put their heel towards the back of the wedges. So you're going to have a piece of fabric back here. Again, I don't want them to rely on that as a landmark. I want them to rely on the wedge system and line their heel up with the wedges, not the liner. So if their foot is back too far, that is too far. Make them shift their foot forward a little bit. So, perfect. And again, a reminder, this is odd. You're in a high heel shoe. It's going to feel abnormal, but trust the process. So once I have Nate nicely lined up in the boot walker, I'm then going to remove those plastic pieces from these stirrup style Velcro, and then I'm going to place it on the side. Press down. And then I'm also going to cross over the toe cover and adjust the straps if needed. So the pillow portion detaches. I like to center it on the foot and then reapply those straps. So during this whole boot walker fitting process, the 2 toe straps need to be the tightest. So should your patient put the boot on and leave these pretty loose, their whole foot's going to shift forward again because we're on that high heel angle. So those 2 straps need to be pretty snug. So if I can get the patient to turn a little bit, we have these 3 Velcro pieces along the back, and this is where your straps will line up. So I will put the bottom strap, this is a bit off, perfect. Line the bottom strap up with the bottom, wrap it around, and fasten pretty tight. And again, once we do this initial fitting, because I have a bit of OCD, I'm going to take the boot off and then readjust everything. Make sure things are lined up properly. So now I'm going to put it on the second Velcro piece, across and around. And now, the top Velcro piece, some patients might find, depending on the leg length and depending how this calf portion sits, it might be a bit too high or a bit too low to meet the top of the stay. If that's the case, it's okay to leave this open and just use the closure that's already attached to the stays. If it does line up nicely, you have a third piece of Velcro that you can do the same wrapping for these straps. But for him, I'm just going to leave the top, and it's really just to make sure that the two stirrup style stays attach nicely to the liner. So I'll get the patient to sit back down. All this can be done seated. I just wanted to show you the back portion. So now that it's nicely fastened, I'm going to take the boot off, and I'm going to readjust some of the straps, make sure they look nice. And if there's any bunching in the liner or any bunching in the Velcro, I'll adjust it then. So now, okay, you take your foot out, we have a fit Achilles Bootwalker. So again, you can see this is on a bit of an angle. I'll readjust and move it a little bit. But otherwise, that's the gist. Thank you so much.